Facebook Live on Monday night with EntreDot. I've been looking forward to this one. We've got a really special guest tonight, someone I've been closely associated with over the last several months, but I've known of for a couple of years. Off and on, I've run into her, and it's always been a nice experience. I'm really comfortable tonight talking to Toby Bowen. Remember that name, Toby Bowen, of Instinctive Branding. Toby has many years, and I don't dare say how many for fear of insulting her and revealing her age, but a very long time. She's very, very good. That's going to be the extent of my introduction, Toby. Toby, tell people more about yourself and try to be more accurate than me.
Okay, well, you were very accurate. I've been working for a really long time, like centuries. So again, my name's Toby. I have a company called Instinctive Branding. I started my career in the nonprofit industry. And so I was in nonprofit management, and was executive director for 3 different nonprofits. And that career lasted about 20 years. And after 20 years of fundraising and working with committees and events, I just got really tired. And I got tired of raising money because it's hard work, millions of dollars after that time. And what I really loved about my work is that I was able to create, I was able to change lives, I was able to transform people, their businesses, and help people all over. So I really took that passion and folded it into my career in marketing. So when you're in nonprofit, a lot of times you are wearing many, many hats. And so during that tenure in nonprofit, I learned how to do marketing for necessity. I also learned that I was good at it. And so what I always kept in my mind was 2 different ideals. One, if you build it, they will come. And the idea that all people love great experiences. So rather than creating events throughout the years, I always created experiences for people. So yeah, so rather than just going into marketing, quote unquote, I ventured into a career of creating experiences for people again. And I do that through branding and marketing, overall strategy, social media management, and helping people to position themselves in a really authentic way, which is, I think, what we're talking about tonight.
That is very well put. I never thought about marketing that way, creating an experience, but that is what you're doing. A visualization, an understanding, drawing people with you into your realm, and creating an experience that they'll remember.
Absolutely.
That's what branding is all about. If they don't remember that then you don't have a brand.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So gang, that's Toby. And you can see why she's kind of special. That was a very good introduction. Very unique.
Thanks.
Look, she also thought up the subject for tonight. Authenticity in marketing. She thought that up last week. And I said, I have never heard of a concept like that, but it sounds pretty authentic, actually.
Right.
When I want to be anything else but authentic.
Right.
But, as I thought about it further, and we talked about it, we've seen lots of websites that are kind of yucky. It's kind of self-serving, kind of, so I'm not going to take your thunder. Start the ball rolling here. Explain what the heck you mean by authenticity in branding is the way you put it. But
yeah,
authenticity in creating an experience, like you just said right now.
Right.
Tell us at a high level what you mean, then we'll go in depth in it.
Okay. So what I mean about being authentic in your brand is that, how do I say this the right way? So sometimes we want to sometimes we want to put the best foot forward. And, I've seen posts on Facebook recently about Facebook is only a place where we post all the good things and we only say the happy things. Sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. And I believe that there really shouldn't be so much of a separation between how you show up online, how you show up in person. So if you walk into a room and you're wearing your best outfit, and that's the only time someone has seen you, that's all they know about you.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up in shorts with flip-flops and a t-shirt with maybe some holes in it at a cocktail party, you're definitely going to be seen, and you might not be seen in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So being seen on the street is the same way as you should be seen online. Now, talking about...
Be you always.
Pardon?
You're saying be you always. Be yourself always.
Almost. Yes. Be authentic without trying to be someone else, but you don't go to the point of doing the wrong thing on purpose to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes people will say, oh, this is just me and this is how I am and it doesn't matter. Well, if your business is the type of business that it really doesn't matter, then maybe you're right. Mm-hmm. Most times you're not. Being authentic means that you are being honest. It means that you are being genuine and that you're showing up in a way that people understand you. So let's use the cocktail party concept. If you're going to a cocktail party and you show up at the cocktail party and your business is selling flip-flops and your goal is to sell flip-flops to 100 people, it may not be the place that people are going to be interested in flip-flops. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to the beach and you're selling flip-flops, that's great for your business. So in the same way, you want to genuinely show up so that people get you and want to purchase from you. So in being genuine, showing your heart, showing where your passion is.
Mm-hmm. Genuine is a word.
Yeah, the right people are going to show up because they get you. So you're talking a little bit about a website. On a website that doesn't show who you are, people can show up and be confused. So they might not understand what your business is doing. If your mission statement isn't clear, if your vision isn't clear, if you don't have your core values to draw people in to the right space,
good point.
They can't understand you.
Yep.
So that's why I think being authentic with your mission, your vision, all of your spaces that can show people who you are, draws the right people into you.
I tell people that often without thinking about authenticity like you are, but for communication, you look, do a video on about us, make it about 2 to 3 minutes, plunk it right in the middle of the page, and you speak these things, your vision, your mission, how you got here, what's the purpose of your company, those things that let people get to know you. Is that kind of what you mean? Get to know the real you? It's
exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I mean. Yeah. So once people, I like to say, you've probably heard it a million times, people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Yes, and trust.
Yeah. So when you create that space for yourself on different platforms online, on your website, the people that relate to that are the people that are going to understand you and want to work with you. Mm-hmm. The people that don't relate to that, probably not your perfect client. So many people have had clients that don't work for them. Years ago, I started working with a contractor, a general contractor, and his logo was a palm tree and a house and a puzzle piece. It was clip art, and it was clip art. And I said, who is your ideal client? And he said to me, my ideal client is a $40,000 to $50,000 kitchen remodel. I said, okay, well, what you're telling people is that you want the Jimmy Buffett crowd for a $10,000 deck. And he's like, that's what I'm getting. I said, well, that's awesome, because that's what you're telling them. So
yes, maybe
right.
You got people to recognize.
Right. So we worked together to redo his brand and his logo and change the name. And immediately his business came together and he was getting the right kind of clients.
So being authentic is not only being real as a person, it's also, I don't know how else to say it, be accurate with your messaging and your portrayal of yourself.
100%.
Your image and your logo and your tagline. So because people are going to read the tagline and say, oh, I see what they do. And if it isn't what you do, it's so
absolutely
cool.
Right.
And related to what you do, but it's cool.
Right.
It's going to hurt you.
Right. And it's hard because many people are so in love with, and not in a bad way, how their brand looks. You know, it's been that way for 15 years. Their Aunt Sally created the logo and she passed away. And now to honor her, you're keeping the logo. Right. Or your wife created it. And like, so that's going to cause a problem. But it's causing a problem for your business when it's not truly speaking from your heart and your passion.
There's a lot of other words that go with authentic. True is another one.
Absolutely.
True to what you are. So let's switch the question upside down here a minute. All right. Now, what's the opposite of authentic? You kind of alluded to it earlier, but transparency comes to mind, or lack thereof. What's the opposite of being authentic?
To me, the opposite of being authentic is kind of so the opposite of being authentic would be just like putting a website up so you could get it done, or throwing up a Facebook page because somebody said you should have it and you don't post on it, or just getting it done, creating a business card and, you know, just having it done, having brochures just so that they're done.
So the truth of what you do is somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. So you want to be authentic and somewhat transparent because you want people to see the real you. So where do you draw the line?
So I'll give you another example. Online reviews have taken customer service out of a dingy back office and moved them up to the front window. So companies used to get a bad complaint, and you know, back in the olden days, we would have these message pads, right? And you could write a message to somebody and leave it on their desk.
I remember that.
Yeah, well, and if you had a bad review, somebody would just kind of crinkle it up and throw it in the garbage. Now, bad reviews front and center on Google, front and center on Facebook, front and center on Yelp, front and center on, you know, all kinds of platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So being authentic is a great way to show how you are in I'll say negative review. So if you get a negative review or on a post, somebody says something negative, the first inclination that we have is, oh my God, how do I get rid of it? Like I have to delete it, take it off of there, beg the person to put it away. So
give a discount.
Yeah. And, you know, more often than not, nobody's perfect. I am far from perfect. And if I get a bad review somewhere or a less than perfect review, my best way to answer that is to say, hey, I'm so sorry that this happened. This was your experience. Here's my cell phone number. I'm available till 8 p.m. most weeknights. Please call me and contact me directly and we can work on this. So the person that's reading it is less enthralled in exactly what the minutia is, what the problem is. It's more important how the business owner solves the problem and shows up online.
So that's transparency.
Yes.
Taken to a point where you say, yeah, I messed up.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and case in point.
Let's see what we can do to repair this. I have several ideas.
Right.
And other people will read that too. I mean, because you'll put it right on that review.
Exactly. And that same client with the logo issue got a bad review on Google. So I happened to be looking at the Google page and I saw that this individual responded with, USOB, blah, blah, blah. So I had to call and say, hey, I think it would be best if you remove that review. I'm going to write something up and send it to you and post that instead. Well, Toby, I'm really pissed. I get it. And it doesn't matter who's right. This isn't a contest right now. It's about how other people are seeing your response.
Yep. So you helped them. That's a very good example. Did they do it?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Thank God.
So let's pull this chain a little further here. So being authentic and somewhat transparent in a positive way usually shows itself in the messaging you put on your website. So how do I think about messaging in this context of authenticity? Because the messaging is really going to have to convince people you got something that solves their need or addresses their need. Yeah. And really, 5 or 6 words and splashed on the homepage. How does authenticity fit into the concept of, or the task of messaging, creating the right messaging for your website?
Yeah, so I'll speak specifically to the about pages on your website. So okay. I believe strongly there should be an about page about the company and about the team. Mm-hmm. So on the about page of the company, on many websites, you see the vision, the mission, possibly some core values, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. To me, about the company says, I was sitting in a bar with my best friend and we scratched on a bar napkin a concept that we had. Mm-hmm. And we shook on it, and 7 years later, we're here with 93 employees making $84 million, whatever it is. So being authentic in a way so that people really understand how you got there and what made your company work. If it was the fact that you own a pasta company and you used to sit at the kitchen table and watch your grandmother make spaghetti every Sunday for the family, it's really telling the story that got you to where you are. Again, to bring people in to the concept of know, like, and trust so that they can understand where you came from. I really believe strongly that after 2008, after the big mortgage issue and the real estate debacle of the world country, yep. People started to handle their money differently. And either they lost their job, most people did not lose their job and didn't lose their income, but they were watching the way they were spending their money. And they started to be in a space of saying, do I want to put my money here? Do I want to put my money here? And I believe that that is a great byproduct of what happened during that time, because people are still doing that. Because before that, we could call the bank and be like, hi, I want a $50,000 loan for my mortgage. And you had the check in 3 days, no question. And so people were just spending, and they didn't have any scruples and didn't believe strongly in where they were putting that money. So in order to get people to know, like, and trust you about the company, I think that's important. I also think it's important to have on your business, on your site, information about your key team, your leadership team, and maybe your whole entire team, depending on the kind of company that you have. But I really love going onto a company website and being able to see who's on their team, what their experience is.
Gives you confidence. Yep.
Right. And depending on the type of website it is, you might have different information. We have a site that we did for a realtor where on the page about all the different realtors, it says who their favorite sports team is, what their favorite color is, their favorite quote, those kinds of things, because real estate is a little bit different than your business would be. So.
Sorry, finish your thought. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say being authentic in that way, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Okay, look, switch gears here to the social media world. Yeah. We talked a lot about the website. What does it mean to be authentic, say, on LinkedIn, which there's a lot of people posting on LinkedIn, or should be anyway?
Yeah. So LinkedIn has changed so much with new ownership over the past year. It used to be very non-communicative, very kind of me, hey, take a look at me on the profile. and there wasn't really a lot of interaction. Now that LinkedIn has LinkedIn Live, you can post video, you can post a lot more interaction. It's become more personal.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, Facebook was the place to do personal and LinkedIn was the place to do business. Mm-hmm. I've always believed that you should be doing business in both. But on LinkedIn, what still sort of bothers me is when people post their family pictures on LinkedIn. I really believe that's not the place for that.
It's still for business, right?
Absolutely. And there are ways to do that. Last night or early this morning, I saw a post that it was a video from someone that I follow on LinkedIn, and it was a guy who put his hand in front of a guy's face, and then he closed his eyes, and he had a plate of like charcoal, and he just went like this and onto a canvas, and upside down created a picture of the man's face. It was miraculous, and he did it with his eyes closed. And so I looked at that and I was like, that's about being intuitive, which is my business is Instinctive Branding. And so I posted like, how are you using your intuition? So, it's really about finding things that are key and visionary to your own business to get people to truly understand you.
That actually helped the viewers understand him a whole lot better. You asked a really good question. How did he use intuition? You wanted to know more about him as a person.
Right.
Had the appropriate effect.
Exactly. Exactly.
So go to the other, since you brought it up, Facebook.
Yeah.
And the same question for Facebook. How does authenticity play into our use of Facebook?
Okay, well, I am a huge Facebook proponent, and I have been since I got on there in 2009. I started teaching Facebook for Business in 2010, and I've always taught people connect with everyone. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people that say, oh, I don't want people on my personal page, and I don't want them to know about me. You can separate people into different groups on your Facebook so that only certain people can see certain types of posts that you do. Maybe not your family posts if you don't want to post about your kids, which is totally fine. But you never know who is about to write your next check as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And so I believe it's really important to connect with everyone and bring them into your business space.
So you create a company page on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Which is separate from your timeline.
Yes, from your personal site. Yes. And I think it's important when people are posting on Facebook, try not to post much about your business directly on your Facebook page. People connected with you on Facebook because they wanted to know who you were as an individual. Mm-hmm. If you are speaking too much about your business, you might lose friends and followers.
Yeah.
The way to really do that is to post to your business page and then share it to your personal page. Mm-hmm. If you share it to your personal page, then it feels a little bit differently to the viewer. Mm-hmm. So it's not as kind of like in your face about like, here's what I'm selling today. Here's what I'm selling today. People don't want to hear that.
Well, that's very helpful. We are, this has gone fast. We are way into this, and I'm riveted to what you're saying. So, but we have an audience that I promise this will be 20 to 25 minutes.
Well, we're at 24. Okay.
We're at 24. I'm about to be a liar, but it's not the first time. I'm authentic in admitting that, I guess.
Absolutely.
But we do have a couple of questions that people ask. So let's do them and then wrap it up. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
So I see them here, but I wrote them in the way I would say them. So here is person's basically saying, didn't quite say it this way, is I hate Facebook.
Yeah.
And you hear that a lot. Is that, do I really need to be on Facebook? Come on. No, he didn't use those words exactly, but and I've embellished it, but that's kind of what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, as I said, I love Facebook. And I understand that many people.
give him a break. Tell him why he should be on Facebook.
Yeah, I understand that many people are private and want to remain private, and that's awesome, and you can remain private. Your business space on Facebook is very different than your personal space on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Take someone who is like a psychiatrist. For clear reasons, they need to separate their business from their personal. Sometimes there are situations where clients could want to get to find you. I know a psychiatrist who has her name differently on her Facebook than she does for her practice.
Mm-hmm.
So she isn't being able to be found, but she has a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have to be on Facebook? Nobody has to do anything. Will it benefit you for your business? Absolutely. Because again, like I said earlier, you never really know where your next client is coming from.
Right.
And it could be a huge, massive client.
I think that's the answer. You just hit it on the head. I mean, what I tell people is, look, I don't care if you're on Facebook or not. What matters is are your potential customers on Facebook. So you probably ought to be there to attract them. Is that
absolutely
hard to understand?
100%.
You know where your customers are going to be, not
right.
where you think you like the best. Come on,
right.
Get real.
Somebody said to me not long ago, I don't need to be on Facebook because all my clients are banks. I said, well, we could go on right now and see how many people work at banks just in Raleigh.
Let's see if they're on Facebook. You'll find them.
Thousands.
So here's the other one, and it's the corollary. And it wasn't asked by the same person. So
okay.
Somebody else thought this one up. So we talked about two platforms, LinkedIn and Facebook. There are others, Instagram and Pinterest and God knows how many others.
Yeah.
All they asked was, do I have to be on more than one?
So the answer to that really is,
or should I be on more than one?
Yeah, it really depends on your business type.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few businesses, if any, that say you do not need Facebook at all, or you do not need LinkedIn at all, or you do not need any platform on social media. Now, and I can't even off the top of my head think of a business that wouldn't need to be on social media ever, because I even include Google as social media. You know, people have a Google business page.
People go to check you out at least.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's step 2 in marketing. It's like they evaluate you. Step 2. I mean, they go to your website and go to your LinkedIn or go to your social media platforms.
Right. Now, the type
you better pass muster, or else you never see it.
Right. And the type of business that you have definitely dictates the type of platform that you're on. Like for EntreDot, you know, Facebook is great for you, and so is LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Now, Pinterest. Would Pinterest be any benefit to EntreDot? In certain ways, 100% yes. And that would be to have pins on Pinterest about different steps that you have, or about business and about growing business. But the thing about Pinterest is you have a link to your website in every single pin. So that helps your SEO. So could Pinterest help you? Absolutely. Now, are the people that are on Pinterest, right? Probably.
Got to be at 4 now. Come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But are the people who are on Pinterest likely to be like enthralled with what you're putting onto Pinterest? Probably not. But you know, you're following on Instagram could be good too. So it really depends on the type of business. You know, if someone has a home cleaning business, where should they be? Definitely on Facebook. LinkedIn could probably get them to meet with executives who have homes who are larger, which would bring them more money. Yeah. And on Instagram, they could have a great Instagram feed on like a shiny bathroom faucet, or like a beautiful kitchen floor that has no dog food on it. You know, all those kinds of things, which is rare in a house with dogs. But you know, all those kinds of things we take into account. So, yeah.
Hey, look, this has been wonderful. This is everything I thought it would be. This is now 30 minutes. I'm a total liar on the 20 to 25, but I think this has been wholly worthwhile. I think you've shared a perspective of this that is illuminating, and it is spoken from an angle, the authenticity, transparency angle that I've never heard discussed before. So I found this very valuable, and I'm going to play it one more time tonight for those who didn't climb on at 7 o'clock, and I'll have a video posted tomorrow on Facebook on my timeline. And I'll send you the link to one so you could post it all over God's creation as well. I'll have it on LinkedIn as well, but they won't know it is Facebook Live.
Yeah.
We won't tell them. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time tonight. You've had plenty of other things to do probably, but I appreciate you spending this last 30 minutes with me. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week. We got a special treat for you. I'll post that later as to who you're going to see next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.
Thanks, Bill.